So in this problem that we've been working on, it involves filling a pancake order. For filling this order, Kurt's class has specific orders made, and each student ordered one type of pancake in advance. What we do know is that half of the students ordered chocolate chip, 1/6 of the students ordered blueberry, 1/4 of the students ordered plain, and the rest of the students ordered strawberry. But we don't know how many students ordered strawberry. This is the big question we're trying to find. Now, as you work your way through A to E, you're going to find that you have to compare the fractions, and you may find it difficult or challenging to figure out the actual fraction of strawberry. So what I've done is, on the class website, I have updated a link for you. So if you go to the class site and you go to the fraction section where we're working, I've put an online fraction strip manipulative tool. If you click on that tool, it'll take you to the math playground at the fraction bars section. So once you're here, you'll have the ability to manipulate the fractions. And you can turn these off, or you can turn them back on if you want. It's up to you. But what you need to do is try and use this tool to represent the parts in the problem. So for the first fraction, half the students chose chocolate chip. So you could use the first color. Now the shaded parts would be your numerator. So 1 out of 2, now the total parts is the denominator. So this represents the students, the red could represent the number of students that chose chocolate chip. And we could do the same thing with the other parts. So if you go back to the problem, red could represent chocolate chip. We could use green to represent blueberry. And if you go to the link again, if green represents blueberry, then it would have to be, it's 1/6 of the class, so there have to be 6 parts in the total class. And then if we use this color to represent the number of students that wanted plain, for example, that means plain is 1/4, 1 out of 4, if 4 represents the whole. So remember, the entire class is represented by the entire rectangle. And then if we break the whole class into pieces based on their orders, then we can use this fraction tool to help us. So what I've done is I've taken snapshots from that manipulative tool online, and I'm using Interwrite right now. So if this big empty rectangle on the top represents the whole class, this fraction, I can drag and drop it right in, represents the number of students that ordered chocolate chip. The green one represents the number of students that ordered blueberry. And then if I bring the blue one up too, we know this represents the number of students who ordered plain. But here's the problem. How do I find out the number of students that have ordered this section? And this section actually represents the number of students who ordered strawberry pancakes. Well, how can I make a piece that big? And if I do, that piece would represent which fraction out of the total class? Well, you could take it and you could actually trace it and cut it out, and then figure out how many pieces you would need. Nothing wrong with doing that. Or you could look at the numbers if you wanted to examine it that way too. See, what I mean is, this is 1/2, right? This represents how many? What was green again? The number of blueberries? I think that was 1/6. And this was 1/4. Oh, sorry. I have to go back and change that. This was 1/6. And this was 1/4. So now, the most important thing when you're trying to compare fractions, just like if you're trying to compare anything, especially with units, the idea is get the units the same. And when we're comparing fractions, the unit would represent, what we're focusing on is the denominator, because the denominator determines the size of each piece. You want the size of the pieces to be the same when you're trying to compare them. then we can identify exactly how many students have ordered each different type of pancake. So how do you make them the same? Well, you have to compare the denominators and try and find one number that they all belong to, one number that they're all multiples of. So if we were to look at 2, the multiples of 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, you know those. 12, 14, etc. And then if we look at 4, we've got 4, 8, 12, 16, etc. And then if we look at 6, the multiples of 6, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, etc. Alright, so now I've done a couple of them, and there's a reason why I stopped. Ideally, you want to try and keep your numbers as small as you can, especially when you're trying to compare fractions, because the bigger you go, the smaller the pieces get. The bigger your denominator is, the smaller the number of pieces are, or the smaller the size of each piece. So try and keep them small. So we're looking for the lowest common multiple. Now there's a math term, or an acronym, LCM. So when you're trying to compare fractions, you want to try and identify the LCM of all the pieces. And the LCM is the lowest common multiple. So what I've done is I've listed the multiples of each of the 3 denominators of each part. And I'm going to go across and look. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 4, 8, 12, 6, 12, I'm comparing them. Which number happens first? The same number, which number happens first in all 3 of them? 4 happens in this one, doesn't happen in this one, doesn't work. 6 happens in this one and this one, but there's no 6 in this one. 8's in these 2, but not here. 10, not found in these 2. 12, 12, 12. There we go. That tells me how big this piece is. That's probably going to be 1/12. 1/12. Why? Because 12 would be the lowest common multiple, meaning that's going to be the denominator of that smallest piece that relates all 3 of these together. Now if I was to go to my fraction bar and try to make a 12th using my purple pieces, it looks like this. So if I take that and bring it into InterWrite, it should fit perfectly. Aha! Now I know what fraction the number of students, or what fraction of students ordered strawberry pancakes. The answer should be 1/12. The hard part is, how do I double check it to prove it?